David Adelman gets a chance to get the head spot, moves over. See, how would you grade him in his first chance doing that?
I mean, to be honest, I think he's going to be the next head coach somewhere. He really has a mind into it, and he's really know what he wants to do on the court, defensively and offensively. So I think it's not something that he was surprised, but it was normal for him.
My relationship with Coach Malone is great. I can't thank him enough for the opportunity he's given me. The responsibility that I've been given, to help with the offense. I think Coach Malone's successful because he has a really good grasp of everyone that works underneath him, and everybody has a responsibility. Everything's very streamlined. In a lot of ways, not only are you a coach, but you're a manager in a way of so many people. And he does that so well. And not to mention, he's so detail-oriented, very prepared for each day, not just each game, not just, let's get through these next couple of days. Everything is very detailed. We meet a lot, as we should. He's so responsible for what the job is, and he respects it. There's only 30 of them.
Alrighty. So, David Adelman. That's another ex-Denver Nuggets assistant coach. Where is this coming from? What are the Raptors trying to do? Let's talk about it. I'm going to talk about, one, we're going to talk about David Adelman. Number two, we're going to talk about this right here. Right? This is something that Scottie Barnes' trainer said to Yahoo Sports during his interview about what Scotty had mentioned to him about how he sees himself being used in the Raptors offense. And we're going to talk about sort of the differences and similarities between Scotty and Nikola Jokic. It sounds kind of crazy to say. Nikola Jokic, two-time MVP, Scottie Barnes, coming off a very, tough season as a second-year player. There is a big gap between where these two players were after year two. Jokic had taken a massive step up. Scotty has still yet to take that step. But there are parallels, and there are some very serious ways in which these two players do cross. They do have a lot in common. They also are very different. One is obviously more of a guard wing. The other is obviously a big. But I think what unites them is much, much greater than what differentiates them. We're going to talk about something very random that I really want to talk about, which is what might, stop Scotty from getting there. So we want to talk about the three things that all great basketball players have in common from a mentality standpoint. So yeah, let's get into it. So first and foremost, the Raptors interviewed Jordi Fernandez a week ago. Now, Jordi Fernandez comes from we call it the Mike Brown coaching tree. By extension, David Adelman also comes from the Mike Brown coaching tree, since Mike Malone comes from the Mike Brown coaching tree, and he's been coaching under him. He has also coached under Frank Vogel, right? And that's another guy who's considered up for, at least, he's been mentioned at least in the jobs for the Raptors. He is also the son of a legend and one of my favorite head coaches. His father was a boss in terms of, as a coach with the Portland Trail Blazers first. He coached a very talented Portland team. I remember that team specifically because Drazen Petrovic was buried on it, but it was a very talented team, and they had a lot of playoff success under Rick Adelman, his father. And then, of course, the Sacramento Kings, a beautiful style offense. Everything is pointing to the fact that the Raptors want to mimic something better than what they saw this year. It's almost like sometimes you have to see an extreme version of what you hate to see what you love. And it seems like the Raptors want to get back to playing beautiful basketball. And certainly someone who's coaching under, a system that's already beautiful, be that, Steve Kerr, be that Greg Popovich, be that Mike Malone, or be that Mike Brown this past year, I think it makes some sense. It makes some logical sense if this is the way you want to play, that bring in a person, who has actually put that system in place and understands it. But I want to talk about the Scotty component as well. So how much do we really know about Adelman, right? We know he's never been a head coach before. We know that Coach Bud just got fired. So does he really have the edge over Mike Budenholzer, right? Well, Budenholzer also comes from a system and has implemented many systems which would work in terms of, motion, movement. If you're trying to implement a selfless brand of basketball, I think what Coach Budenholzer could bring based on his experience in Atlanta could do that. But I also think that, I mean, he's got experience. You can't deny that, right? Let's talk about it, right? Not only coming up around the game, if you believe in basketball bloodlines and pedigree, that should count for something. He basically grew up under one of the greatest coaches ever, in Rick Adelman. Then he's, a player development and an assistant coach for the Minnesota Timberwolves from 2011 to 2015. Then he's under Frank Vogel in Orlando, and then he's basically been there 2017. He's actually coached with Jordi Fernandez. And so it seems to me very clear, Becky Hammon, Jordi Fernandez, trust me, you listen to these people talk, everything they're preaching is connectivity, ball movement, motion. They are not the old school, give it to one guy, get out of the way, so it's clear that, okay, not a lot of things are clear about the Raptors right now. It's not clear whether, there's a report that came out today, Jakob Poeltl is definitely going to be back, 13 to 15 million. Man, that's music to my ears. 13 to 15 million is a little bit lower than I was expecting. So if that is in fact true, great. So we expect him to be back. Possibly Fred VanVleet will be back. We expect Scottie Barnes to be back, but there's not a lot of consistency in terms of what can we agree on is definitely going to be true for this team next year. Is Pascal going to be on it? Is OG going to be on it? I'm getting very close to being able to say that I guarantee you this team will play differently next year. Based on the people that they're interviewing, based on the things that they said at the exit interviews, it seems this type of basketball that we watched, that I, bitched and moaned about all year and complained about being too selfish, I think that is going to end. So it almost feels like every single person that they're interviewing is the exact opposite of the style of basketball they played last year. It's going to take a lot. It might take some growth, some internal growth. It's going to take some pieces coming in from the outside. It's going to take a culture shift, a mindset shift, and it's going to take some buy-in. It's going to take some serious buy-in from the guys who got used to playing that, free-for-all YMCA type offense. And it's going to take a very strong leader. Now, if that leader does not exist on your team, that leader temporarily is going to have to be a coach. It's going to have to be the coach. I don't know if David Adelman is that coach. I don't know. I don't know if Darko is that coach. I don't know if Becky Hammon is that coach. But let's talk about what casting such a wide net gets you. It gets you information. Fun fact. It's not really a fun fact. It's just like an anecdote. It's really an anecdote. 3 years ago, we were setting up Pixel, Facebook Pixel. Or is it Google Pixel? Or no, Google Pixel is a phone. Facebook Pixel. It's basically like a way to track who comes to your site, right? And we were setting this up for the Penn Dance Film Festival, and we wanted to see who was coming in, what our audience was, what our audience overlap was. And it dawned on me afterwards, we spent so much to set all this up, web team, etc. And it was because my friend Jelko, he is an incredibly smart dude, and he's really into tech, and I'm not. And he said, information, data, is the most important currency in life right now. Knowing things, knowing about things. You have a head coaching job open to one of the best organizations in the league, right? This is your chance to talk to everyone and get their thoughts on this roster. You are learning so much about how other teams view you. When you talk to Jordi Fernandez about what he thinks about Scottie Barnes and how he would use him, you're also understanding how Jordi Fernandez sees Scottie Barnes, how he plans to game plan against Scottie Barnes when he doesn't get the head coaching job, if he doesn't get the head coaching job. When you get someone like a Coach Budenholzer into the room, you might be able to talk about how he would use a Pascal Siakam. You get 8 hours, 7 hours sometimes in these interviews to get some of the brightest minds in the world that do not exist within your organization, that you would not otherwise have a chance to do this with. And you get their real insights on the players on your roster that they're excited about, and maybe the players on your roster they're not so excited about in a candid setting. When if a Coach Budenholzer interviews and he says, yeah, I'll coach, but, really don't want Gary Trent on this team next year. Or if he says, I'm going to have a difficult time playing him, Well, and now you're getting a real understanding of how he feels about Gary Trent Jr., something that you perhaps didn't know before. Again, it gives you a lot of insight on your roster. I think, if nothing else, exploring the trade deadline the last summer, also exploring trades this deadline, has given the Raptors something that is absolutely invaluable. Currency. Data. It's the most invaluable currency. Having information about your roster allows you to make better decisions about your roster. It allows you to understand. If you understand, like, let's just say, for instance, Jordi Fernandez comes in and says, this is how I want to use Pascal and Scotty. And it's not something that you ever considered or thought about before. It might sound weird and wild to say, but these are some of the greatest minds in the world in basketball. And you have them for 8 hours. And they don't exist in your organization. They see things differently than you. Sometimes you fall into the pattern of groupthink. We've talked about groupthink on this channel for sure. Where you're in a circle, you're in an environment, and the same ideas keep rising to the top. It's what Masai thinks. It's what Bobby Webster thinks. Well, these people haven't been around Masai and Bobby. They haven't been around Scottie Barnes. They haven't been around to be charmed by Fred VanVleet. They haven't been around to be invested in the growth story of a Pascal Siakam. How do they see these players? And how would they use them if they were given a head coaching job? This information is invaluable. And so they're getting a lot of that. And hopefully with that, they're able to better understand, hey, this guy said he would run it this way, that way, whatever. File it as a note to revisit soon. Because if this head coach does not work out, maybe what you're doing is you're interviewing your next head coach. Look, we've gotten used to Raptor head coaches sticking around for a very long time. Dwayne Casey stuck around for a long time. Sam Mitchell stuck around for a long time. But don't get used to it. Don't get used to it. Coaches are getting fired fast. 3 of the last 4 championship head coaches have been fired. I'd be careful, whoever plans on winning the championship this year. Because odds are you probably won't be on the team in 2026. There's a lot of turnover. Expectations are sky high. Win a championship, have a bad year, lose your job. So you might hear something from Jordi Fernandez that sticks with you. Maybe, he gets a head coaching job somewhere else. And next time around, timeline lines up. Might be the same. Might be the same for Adelman. In terms of Scotty versus Jokic, the gap is very large. Now, y'all know that Scotty's one of my favorite players, but I'm going to keep it 100 with you. The gap is large, and has always been large, and it may always be large. Nikola Jokic, if it hasn't apparent to you watching him, is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Scottie Barnes is one of the top 65 best players in the NBA right now. The gap between what I said about Scotty and what I said about Nikola Jokic is night and day. And it's always been this way. Here's a side-by-side stat on both Nikola Jokic and Scottie Barnes as rookies. Please note, Scottie Barnes Rookie of the Year. Nikola Jokic was a second-round pick. Jokic has him beat across the board in just about everything. He had more win shares than Scottie Barnes. And he played almost 1,000 fewer minutes. That's hard to do. Right? But that's not to say Scotty was a bum, as a rookie. It's just to say that Nikola Jokic was absurdly good for a rookie. But the box plus minus differential of 3 is insane. And spoiler alert, the difference only grew after year 2. Nikola Jokic was posting near 8 box plus minus after his second year. Scottie Barnes dipped to 0.4. So are we getting a little ahead of ourselves thinking that Scotty can do anything close to what Nikola Jokic can do for the Denver Nuggets? I don't think so. I think their impact metrics would tell you that definitely, one of these players was better at the same age. But there are limits to what Jokic can be defensively. There's definitely limits to what he can do athletically. People don't grow at the same rate. Jokic played basketball professionally overseas. He was a big dude. Scotty's a big dude. Positionally, they're both equally big for their position. Jokic is very gifted. Scotty's very gifted. And in the middle of the floor, those gifts really start to expand. Now, if you watch a Denver Nuggets game, if you've watched the Denver Nuggets, I know that they often play late, and a lot of people don't watch them play. Because their star, maybe, if you're not into the right stuff, isn't all that interesting to watch for some people. But he's very interesting to watch for me. Because he sees things on the court. The versatility of a Nikola Jokic is so absurd to me. He can basically initiate the offense from just about anywhere. But when he's in the middle of the court, he is absolutely dangerous. He has eyes behind his head. He sees things that no one else does. His passing is so cerebral that oftentimes I find him making passes that I did not see on the television. And do you understand the difference between the vantage point of a player being guarded in an NBA game and me watching the basketball? You know, often that's the difference. You're like, why didn't he make that pass? Because he's not watching himself on television. Nikola Jokic sees the court better from his vantage point on the court being guarded by long defenders poking at him than most people do watching him play. It is an absurd level of forward vision and understanding, and his brain is just fantastic. But so many similarities in style, so many similarities in terms of strengths and weaknesses, right? Scotty's obviously the better defender. He's a better athlete. But where the gap really comes is you can't double team either of these players. I've been saying this for 2 years now. When Scotty becomes good enough as a scorer that you have to double, you won't want to double. Because the second that double comes, then all those passing instincts that he's been building up since he was in grade 6, they all kick in. We just watched the Boston Celtics versus the Philadelphia 76ers. So many blown opportunities. So many passes that came too late. You don't see Scottie Barnes do that, do you? Now consider Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are two of the best players in the league, and we just watched them both make massive mistakes down the stretch. Granted, you can choose to focus on what they can do that Scottie can't, and there's a lot of that. But focus for a second on what they did that Scottie never would. Jaylen Brown is running down the court. Jason Tatum is wide open. Wide open. Does not pass him the ball. Pulls it out. Instead drives. When he doesn't have it, then he kicks it out. With 9 seconds to go, I believe. And now Tatum has a tough shot. Similarly, Joe Mazzulla inexplicably does not call a timeout for the second time with the game on the line. This time, you're not tied. Your team actually needs a bucket to keep the game going. Jason Tatum goes in, gets contested, decides to pass out to Marcus Smart, and he doesn't have enough time to take the shot. This type of cerebral awareness of the game, this ability to instinctively know where all your teammates are, where your teammates are going to be in 2 seconds, this is not something that I've ever seen anyone just learn. I have never seen anyone learn it. Giannis still struggles with it. Joel Embiid still struggles with it. They're MVPs. They still struggle with this. Jason Tatum, one of the best players in the league, he still struggles with it. Jaylen Brown, holy, he struggles with it so hard. LeBron, he's had this since he was 14 years old. That type of vision, he's had it. Nikola Jokic, he was very turnover prone as a kid, but he had this. He knew where guys were. He knew all the chess pieces. Now, worth noting, talked about all the places where, Jokic was ahead of Scotty. Need I remind you that at this same stage, Scotty was taking more threes as a rookie, and he only made that gap even bigger as in the second year. He also was less turnover prone, despite handling a similar usage and getting almost as many assists. He had way fewer turnovers. And in his second year, he had way fewer turnovers. You take it per 100 possessions. He's less foul prone. He's way less foul prone. Right? I think there's something to build on here. Now, obviously, the gap is huge. Not going to lie. The gap is big. You're talking about one of the all-time greats. Scotty is going to have to take unprecedented leap in year 3 to make this even remotely a competition. Because by year 3, you were already seeing MVP Jokic. You were already seeing that. And year 3 is where a lot of guys, and you can take a look down, Ja Morant, you take a look at a lot of players. There's a big jump. Derrick Rose, big jump in year 3. A lot of guys take big jumps in year 3. So it's the first time you think you know, second time you know you don't know, and hopefully the third year you know what you didn't know that you didn't know. God, I'm going to listen to that back and that's not going to make sense. But I think you know what I mean. Now I want to talk about just what I think Scotty really needs to do here. Number one, I think Scotty needs to absolutely 1000% get better as a shooter and a ball handler. Nothing is going to come for him if he does not do that, right? I love the fact that he was willing to take more threes this year, but he has to be able to hit them at a respectable clip for defenses to actually respect him out there. And if they will start to respect him out there, suddenly he can be better. Now, putting Scotty in the middle of the floor, putting him in the elbow, notice Jokic does not play with any players that resemble Jakob Poeltl. So this is an odd pairing. I think it can work, but it's going to be a little less optimal than you might like. You need shooters, you need guys around him that can do some of the things that Jokic's teammates do. Look at Jokic's teammates. You have an initiator like a Jamal Murray. Now, granted, Jokic carried these guys to the playoffs without Jamal Murray, without Michael Porter Jr. He can do anything with anyone. Basically, you need him and 4 guys who are professional basketball players. He'd probably get you to the playoffs. He's that good. But when optimal, he has guys who actually fit like good chess pieces around him. He has an Aaron Gordon, a rim running, defensively minded, offensive rebounding, athletic forward. Could Pascal Siakam be a way better version of Aaron Gordon if he actually bought into that role? Yes, I think he could. He has a Michael Porter Jr. Let's be honest. We don't have a Michael Porter Jr. here. We don't have anyone with that type of offensive package out there. Michael Porter is smooth like butter. We also do not have a Jamal Murray. Are these pieces that you can trade for, grow? Are these pieces that you can develop? I mean, both those guys were lottery picks, right? All 3 players that I just mentioned are lottery picks. Got to tell you, kind of sucks the Raptors don't have a really high pick this year. But the one that they do have, it better be used on a player that fits into that system. And there have been a lot of players who've come here from the Denver system. Will Barton was a Denver guy, right? Juancho Hernangomez was a Denver guy. It seems the Raptors have an affiliation, or at least an obsession, with bringing in people who've been involved with the Nuggets. I wonder why that is. I think it has something to do with this. Am I being conspiratorial? Am I reading too much into it? Is it just a remarkable coincidence? I don't think so. I think they have a vision for how they think this is supposed to go. And I think Scotty playing Jokic, Scotty being the Joker, ironically dressed up as the Joker for Halloween. And I was going to use that image as the thumbnail, but instead we went with this because that image was hella low quality. I think defensively he's got it. The way that he can seek out mismatches, there's been a lot of Jokic lights in the NBA lately, right? Just so happens that when a player becomes really great, we start looking for the next version of that player. Alperen Şengün, he's been considered a baby Jokic. Does he have more of a Jokic package? I don't think so. Not more than Scotty. I get the parallels. He's a big dude. He's not overly athletic. He's very ground bound, right? Does a lot of push shots and twisty shots. He's a good passer. He's not Jokic, man. Doesn't have the wingspan for it. Doesn't quite have the dexterity for it. Doesn't quite have the footwork for it. He's a very good player, and he will continue to be a really good player. But he's not Jokic. He's not Jokic light. Domantas Sabonis. I guess I get the comparison. European white guys, 6'11", 7 feet. Pass the ball. Again, wingspan, dexterity, scoring package. There are things that Jokic can do in terms of just seeing the game and thinking the game that Sabonis cannot. Sabonis also in his prime. So I think Scotty's got a case. He's got a case to make as the next Jokic. Obviously, he's not going to be a center. He's going to be the point guard version of it, but make a very solid argument that Jokic has been playing point guard for the last 4 years, and people just keep calling him a center. Finally, I want to talk about the three things that I believe unite all great players. Number one, a belief that you are better than other people. This does not just apply to basketball. I think this applies to just about everything. We often hate people who think that they're better than you. You know, we hate people that think they deserve better treatment. We hate people who think that they're very important sometimes. You're like, who the hell are you to think you're that important? Well, turns out it's one of the very limited, very few ingredients to being great is you have to actually believe you are great. And in order to integrate that belief into your core habits, into your daily life, you have to believe that you deserve better. You have to believe think about the belief that you have to lead a country or to make the NBA. You have to believe that you deserve it. And in order to believe you deserve it, that means you believe your body deserves better than an average diet. You got to believe that you deserve an average, above average salary. You got to believe you deserve it. The second part is almost contradictory to the first part, which is you also got to believe that you're never going to get it. You got to believe that, you're never going to be good enough. There's got to be that sort of pain in you to be great, like really great. We're talking Jordan, Bill Russell, that, right? It takes both. You need that second part. It's kind of like the devil on your shoulder and the angel on your shoulder, right? The angel on your shoulder saying, oh, you got this. You're going to be a superstar. You're going to be great. Devil on your shoulder saying, still never going to be good enough for your dad. You're still never going to be good enough for your coach. You're still never going to win an NBA championship. Because the truth is, most people get complacent, right? You listen to Victor Wembanyama talk, watch the ESPN special on him. What'd he say? If I was impressed by all of this, that would mean I'm satisfied, and I'm not satisfied. You'll love it. You'll love it. How many McDonald's All-Americans, how many state champions, how many Mr. Basketball in Florida, Ohio, whatever, became just gassed up on that? They got some brand deals. They got some favors. Everyone at the club knew their name. Everybody knew who they were. Everyone's gassing them up. Oh, champ, you're going to be the next. You're going to be the next. You're going to be the next. You're going to be the next LeBron. You're going to be the next Kobe. You're so great. And why do you not believe it? You've beaten everyone in your state. You're McDonald's All-American. You got like every single college after you. And you stop. You stop working because what you wanted was you already have it. You wanted acceptance, you got it. You wanted girls, you got it. Everything you wanted, you have. So why work? It takes a rare person to say, nope, not enough. Not enough, man. State championship? Screw that. There's probably some team in another state that could kill us. Oh, Mr. Basketball in Ohio? I'm not going to stop until I'm Mr. Basketball in America. NBA championship? No, I got to have 3. 3-peat? No, I got to have 2 3-peats. Obviously, I'm describing Michael Jordan. That greatness is important. That quality is important. It's psychopathic, but it is important. The third, perhaps most crucial thing, is an ability to cut the noise, to stay on track, and to stay focused. We all want to do things. I'm sure if I asked you what 10 important things you want to do tomorrow, I'm pretty sure you could tell me 10 very important things that are pretty meaningful to you that you actually want to do tomorrow. And I'm pretty sure I'll talk to you next week and you haven't done any of them. Maybe. It takes, you look at the notebooks of Leonardo da Vinci. Wow. A Leonardo da Vinci reference on a basketball podcast. You got to love it. What were in Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks? Nothing but goals. Things he wanted to draw, things he wanted to see, things he wanted to measure, things he wanted to try. And he did them. Probably because Leonardo da Vinci did not have an Instagram addiction and a TikTok addiction. Most people fall into a pattern that I call numbness control, whereby they control bad thoughts and bad ideas with numbness. They numb themselves. Some people take it really far. We've all seen basketball players fall into drug addictions. An unfortunate case when that happens. We've all seen basketball players fall into alcoholism. You know, Vin Baker comes to mind. You know, people have a lot of pain. They carry a lot of pain. How do you shut it out? You know, Michael Jordan carried a hell of a lot of pain. Kobe Bryant carried pain. You know what happened with Kobe and his family. What happened with Michael and his father. The horror show that was LeBron's childhood. Right? A lot of people come from pain. How do you become great when you come from pain? I think it's important to stay on task. Is to have written goals, to have people around you that are holding you accountable to those goals, but ultimately it comes down to you. Because if you don't want to do it, and the people around you want you to do it, you just find new people. You find new people that hold you to lower standards. So, does Scotty have what it takes to be great? Does he have all three qualities? I know he has the first one. 100% he has the first one. He believes he deserves the offense. He believes he deserves to be an NBA champion. He believes he deserved Rookie of the Year. He believes he deserves gold medals and NBA championships. He believes he deserves it all. But so what? So does Fred VanVleet. So does Pascal Siakam. They all think that they deserve it all, right? That's just one very, very small thing. Does he have that you'll never be good enough, Scotty? Does he have that devil on his shoulder pushing him at all times? I think he does. I think I spotted it early with him when he was 17 years old. When he was told, oh man, USA on your chest. You remember that overtime interview? Man, you got USA on your chest. 3 gold medals. It's not enough. Got to keep going. Got to keep going. End of year last year, after winning Rookie of the Year, are you ready to take your deep breath? No, I already took my deep breath. Time to keep pushing. Time to keep going. Got to keep my foot on their neck. That is a person who is not satisfied. That is a person who has much bigger goals than, you know, whatever. Rookie of the Year. Dropping the hat. Expected to win that. No, we got to win championships. I think that's what endeared Masai. I think that's why this team believes in him. Because he has those two things. Now, what about that third thing? That third thing is important. Because you can have those first two things, and if you don't ever do what you think you want to do on a day-to-day basis, if you can't keep track of your time, if you can't keep track of your circle, if you can't manage the distractions, well then, my friend, you are going to fail, and you are going to live not to your potential. I think social media presents a very dangerous challenge to athletes in the modern era, especially those athletes who manage their own social media. I'm often disturbed how often I will see an intense gym workout and right after I see athletes just checking their phones. I'm often disturbed when a friend of mine who's checking out like one of these Rico runs or, you know, Summer League or whatever will be texting me pictures and I'm seeing in the background this player, that player, and that player are all just staring down at their phone. Yo, put the phone down, bro. You can pick up social media again when you become, you know, when you retire. Kawhi does not have social media. Nikola Jokic does not have social media. Do you want to know why? Because it's a distraction. I think that the switch for Scotty has to be pushed into overdrive. Yeah, you're great. You probably make 3 All-Star teams in your sleep. But if you want to be All-NBA, if you want to be MVP, you want to win championships, you want to actually be mentioned in the same breath as Larry, Magic, Michael, Tim, LeBron, Wilt, Kareem, KD, Steph, D Wade, you want to be in that conversation, you're going to have to do something that no one else in the league is willing to do, which is put all your eggs in this basket. And I'm not saying he hasn't. But I'm saying it has to be psychotic. Because there's nothing normal about greatness. There's nothing normal about being one of the 5 to 10 best players in the world. They're all crazy. Every one of them. They're all crazy. I haven't met them. I haven't met a lot of the players in the NBA, but I've heard stories. From people who have met them. I mean, you talk to LeBron. He doesn't want to talk to you about anything but basketball. His whole life is basketball. Kobe, same thing, Everything's basketball. Even the stuff he did outside of basketball was still basketball. He made a documentary, he won an Oscar. It's still basketball. You got to be obsessed. You got to be obsessed. To be great at anything, you got to be obsessed. You can't be a generalist. You have to be a specialist. And you have to have that dog. And you know what? You can't pick and choose. We have all appreciated the fact that Scotty saves his best for his big games, for the big matchups, for the marquee moments, staples against LeBron, right? He wants to save that. Fourth quarter against Jokic, up against the Milwaukee Bucks. And we as supporters of Scottie Barnes have been very complimentary of the fact, especially as we see a superstar wannabe like Pascal Siakam wilt in these moments and melt and look like he's just seen a ghost. We appreciate the fact that we have a young man who is not afraid of that moment. But yeah, you got to put up really, really professional efforts against Detroit and Charlotte too. I think the critics are right on that one, man. I think they're right. You can't play 35 games a year and then kind of like just pace yourself through the others. You can't. It's impressive that you can. It's impressive that you can dial it up when you want to. It's impressive that you can bring it to another level in the playoffs. But you got to do it. You got to do it. Like, you got to take the level that you played against Milwaukee last year. You got to play like that all year. And then when you go up against Milwaukee, then you got to dial it up to another level. If Scotty has 5 gears, I think we've seen gear 1, gear 2, gear 3. And we're all impressed with gear 3. It looks beautiful. But his gear 3 has to be his neutral right now. His gear 3 has to be what he coasts at. And we need to see a new gear 5. Scottie Barnes, in my opinion, will be a great player. How great is up to him. I think Fred VanVleet's right. Scotty can be as good as he wants to be. There are a lot of players that have been said about, man. A lot of people said this guy can be as good as he wants to be. J.R. Smith, oh, he can be as good as he wants to be. Tyson Chandler, oh, he can be as good as he wants to be. LeBron James, he can be as good as he wants to be. Very few people who are told at a young age that you can be as good as you want to be actually end up great. Very few. It's like a 1 in 300, 1 in 500 type of thing. Trust the work. He's down in Florida State working hard right now. I hope that he will shut out all the noise. Personally, I hope that he shuts out all the noise. I hope this season bothered him. I really do. I hope that this season was considered a failure by his standards. Not only do you not make the playoffs, so it's a team failure, but you also regress in a lot of departments, and a lot of the work that you did last offseason just didn't come through for you. I like that he took onus at the end of the year. I hate the fact that the media twisted it and made it something that it wasn't, but I like the fact that he's self-aware enough to say, in order to play at the level that I want to play at, and he's not delusional. He's not delusional. You don't see him take trick shots, dare shots. You don't see him ever do anything that's outside of his control. You never see him play at somebody else's pace. He's always at his own pace. This is a very good marker for success in the future. But in order to be great, in order to be one of those guys, in order to be the guy that warrants this, you got to have dog all the time. You got to be willing to kill people on the court. You got to really, really have that intensity that Marcus Smart plays with. You got to play like that. And Scotty does. We've seen it. He needs to do it more often. He needs to do it instead of 20% of the games. We need to see it 90% of the games. 90%. And if he does that, I think everything that the Raptors believe about him will come true. I think it will come true. I think he is the type of player that you can run an offense around. I don't think at his peak that he's going to be the type of player you can easily double. I don't think he's a guy who gets rushed. I don't think he's a guy who gets flustered. I think he's a guy who shoots very efficiently from all three levels if he wants. There's nothing technically wrong with his shot. It's not like Dylan Brooks where I cringe every time I look at it. He's got great basketball IQ. He's got great vision. He's got great habits. He's obviously in great shape. There's a lot of positives here. But there's a big bridge between where Scotty is right now and where Nikola Jokic was at the same age. And for him, he's going to have to put in more work than Jokic did to get to that level. People have questioned Nikola Jokic's work ethic many times, by the way. FYI. Because he's come into the season a little bit pudgy or whatever. He's a little overweight. People have questioned his work ethic a lot. It wasn't all sunshine and roses for Nikola Jokic all the way through, okay? Scotty has that part down. He's never come into shape. He's never come into a single season out of shape. I'll go back to grade 7, grade 8. He's never been out of shape. That's not just genetics. He takes really good care of his body. But, worth noting, when you have a mind like a supercomputer, like these two do, the experience tends to build too. Because all those patterns, all those gaps that you start to see, every single time you see a new offense, see a new defense, it computes and like, oh, I've seen that before, and that's what that guy did before, and this what. When you have smart players with all the qualities that I just mentioned, generally you have a superstar. Will Scotty be a superstar? Will the next coach help him get there? I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so, because it is really the only hope for the Raptors, in my opinion, to compete at any point in the next 5 years. So, with that being said, let me know what y'all think. I'm going to read some comments here. Also, want to extend a really big thank you to Chris and to Vince and to Leanne and Jason. There's quite a few of you. I'm sorry. I should have written the list down. I want to thank you all for picking up Penn Dance passes. Really looking forward to seeing some of you guys there. That's really going to be cool. Actually, funny story. Yesterday, my girlfriend was at her yoga studio. She's, teaching yoga. And she's telling her yoga students, like, hey, my boyfriend's running a film festival. You should come. And someone just looked at her sideways. Be like, what's the name of that festival? She says, Penn Dance. Is your boyfriend Pensari basketball? And she kind of looked over. She's like, why? How do you know? And he's like, yo, I watch that guy all the time. He's been pushing this festival really hard. I thought it was really funny. The way she said it, it's like he's pushing it really hard. It's funny. Mamba mentality. Buddy, you better brace for him to be here, man. I don't think they'll let him go. Rob got the insight one-liners. Sorry, it's hard to now catch up to these. My bad. Also, someone did call while I was talking, but I was just kind of going through my emotions. My bad. Yeah, man, me too. Honestly. And it's like, it's the belief system is going to be huge, right? Because you get a coach who actually coached Jokic, and he could be like, yo, this is how Jokic did this, and this is how, this is how we ran this around Jokic. I think that would really be exciting for him too, right? Yo, this Fred to China stuff has taken a life of its own. I was looking at Twitter. Go check the last, I don't know if he's posted anything since, but it was a couple of days ago. He posted something about some dude, and it was something about, being undrafted or something like that. And like every single comment was like, or every second comment was like, good luck learning Chinese. I'm positive I started this. I had no idea it would go this far. I want to see a riot. Why would you want to see a riot? All right, y'all. Make sure to hit subscribe. I guess I gotta get back. I gotta get back to work on this one. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave the program guide. Wait, do I even have the program guide? Yeah, I do. Yeah, there's your program guide. It's probably gonna be way too small. I did not think this through. That's the program guide for Penn Dance. I'm gonna just leave it on the screen and then let this chat play out. But make sure to hit subscribe, like if you haven't already, and I hope to catch at least a few of you this Friday. I might be really busy. And also, let me know in the comments if you want me to do a live from Penn Dance. I think that would be really, really cool. Personally, I want to do this where, like, I don't know, I got like the red carpet behind me or something like that. And I don't know. It's just a cool way for me to merge these two things that I'm really passionate about. So I was thinking of doing that, bringing my podcasting mic, bringing my laptop and just doing it there. The screenings are pretty much like 4 hours a day. So I expect that I'll have like an hour before sometimes, or, you know, it's a busy theater, but maybe I'll have time. I think it would be really cool. I don't know. I kind of selfishly, I just want to do it as like a little memento for myself, because I've obviously put like a lot of my heart into Penn Dance, and I've also put a lot of my heart into Penn State basketball, and merging the two worlds makes me happy. In fact, a lot of events in my life that I've run, be it Penn Dance or whatever, like I remember the first edition of Penn Dance, I had people come from my high school, I had people from my university, I had people from my work, and it was just like a melding pot of all these people I know from all these different walks of life. I had some girl that I, you know, didn't call back. It was weird, man. It was funny, but yeah, it was cool. Anyway, link in the description. If you want to check out Penn Dance, you want to check out which films are coming out, make sure to hit subscribe and like on your way out. And I hope the Raptors hire someone soon, because I'm kind of tired of learning about new head coaches. Although it's, you know, I like learning about head coaching candidates. It's always interesting to learn about these guys, because honestly, unless an assistant does something completely crazy, you usually don't hear about these guys, right? I mean, who was it? It was the guy, Memphis's head coach now. And he was an assistant also under Bud, if I recall correctly, in Atlanta. And I think he held a guy back from a fight, and it was all over YouTube, and it was considered like this majorly courageous thing. And that's why like some people just really started to see him. I think it's just about changing the perception of, you know, who you are. Because I mean, honestly, casual people, and let's be honest, a lot of people who run NBA teams are kind of casual. Like they're just like, we've never seen you coach before. How do we know all this shit that you did as an assistant is going to lead to, you know, you being able to lead a locker room? It's very difficult and very abstract bridge to sort of jump through. But I trust that with all these interviews, I wouldn't take it as a sign that things are not going well. I just think, as I said, I think it's a sign the Raptors are learning a lot about themselves, and also learning a lot about these young men and potentially women. Seeing more comments here. The Pro Gamers 33. Yo, awesome. I would love to do that, man. Like I really would. I don't have my list of 125, but I'm pretty sure I would fill it out pretty fast. I got up to about 40. And then after that, it becomes really difficult to start like separating guys, right? Like, do I put OG over this guy or that guy? Also, not to screw up your entire work, but I wanted to include draft players from 2023 into that. So you got to include Victor Wembanyama and Scoot Henderson too, because they're going to be, I don't want to do a you know, one of these 125 drafts and then it's obsolete in like literally a month. So you got to include all the 2023 draft picks. Don't include any 2024 draft picks, but yeah. Thank you, Erica. All right, good evening, y'all, and definitely enjoy the second game. If it's, you know, if the first game was any indication, yikes. Man, I was really pulling for the Celtics. I cannot stand Joel Embiid. I posted this Instagram reel of him stomping on Grant Williams' head, and Grant Williams being a total pro about it afterwards. Like, you hear what he says to him. He's just like, oh man, it's just the playoffs. Bro, Joel Embiid sucks, yo. I cannot stand him. I don't know. It's like personal at this point. Like I despise him, and it sucks because he's such a good basketball player. But like the way that he dives, like the foul baiting, like it's dangerous, man. It's so dangerous. Like he'll just throw himself at your shin And it's like, it's not a normal person coming at your shin. Like, it would hurt. I guarantee you it would hurt if a 6'4" person crashed in on your shin. But when that dude is 7 feet tall and 280, it could straight up break your leg in half. People keep saying he's clumsy. Like this comment here, like he's way too clumsy. And it's just like that. The commenter said, oh, that was purely accidental. It's like, well, bro, like if it happens 10, 15 times a year, it's not an accident. You're just reckless. He's a ridiculous player, man. I do not like him. I cannot. It's not just the Scotty thing. It's not just stepping on Scotty's ankle. It's not just, punching Scotty in the face or Ken Burch in the face or doing the airplanes or crying after getting beat or getting blocked by Al Horford more times than I can count today. It's none of that. It's just his mentality. It's the wrong mentality for basketball. I don't know, man. Yeah, I know, right? Like, as his own teammate, like, so ridiculous. He's just flopping around, and he's just no regard for anyone else. Because if he falls into your leg, he's fine. He's fine. And you might die. He's stepping on. Oh, I was just looking for a place to land. It's like, how about next time you fucking don't jump over someone's head? For sure. Absolutely. Anyways, guys, peace. Have a good one.